Excited to have Drew Bourne in the studio with us here today. Welcome, Drew.
Thank you, Joe.
And we're talking about 10x votes and permanent infrastructure in Michigan, or lack thereof. And so, what is the state of the permanent, independent, political infrastructure in the state of Michigan right now?
Arguably, it's non-existent, right?
At least on the right.
At least on the right, yes. The left has a very good permanent infrastructure. Matter of fact, the left spent almost $130 million in 2022 on their permanent infrastructure, and the right spent what? A couple million, maybe. And what do we have to show for it? Nothing. So we really need to turn around and step up our game.
So by permanent infrastructure, we could probably look at that in what, a 2-year cycle?
Yeah. So, I mean, permanent infrastructure is right now, Republicans just buy a bunch of ads, send out a bunch of mailers in the 3 to 4 months leading up to a primary and election, and maybe some signs. And, where the left is, it's something that they're engaged with for all year round in a 2-year cycle. So it's not just the 3 months before, it's in a 24-month period. They are engaged, they are following up, they're making sure they're registering ballots. And in Michigan, we have 97, 98% registration, but we have now the ability in 2022 with Prop 2, the ability for permanent absentee ballots. They're out there making sure that they know who they need to target, and when those ballots come out, they know who they need to go make sure that their ballots get sent back in.
So they're working boots on the ground, and not just a few months before a primary or before a general election. They're working the year prior.
Yes, at least.
And just continuing to build relationships and connect with new people, new voters. And what we're saying is then that translates into better results.
Correct. And that's why the left has been able to, capitalize on these last elections so well, is because they have that infrastructure that is outside of the party, right? They're using C3 dollars, and very little C4 dollars to make sure that they are engaging with the voter, making sure all year round, not just a couple of times. They're not just sending out door knockers at, pre-election. They're doing this all year round, making sure they know, making sure they get the permanent absentee ballot request in, or just absentee ballot request, and now permanent, and making sure that then when those ballots come out, they are at their doorstep, making sure that comes in.
Well, it really just sounds like sound business practice, right? You're looking at ROI, and you're looking at how you invest to move a position or an idea or a worldview forward, and the left is willing to do it year-round, 24/7, 365. And for some reason, the right is not doing that.
No, pre-2004, we had the best infrastructure, and the left lost so bad, they said, never again, right? And they have built, since 2004, this infrastructure was, and it's huge, it's massive. It's dozens of organizations all working together to chase ballots, to chase voters. And we as Republicans, in 2004, the internet wasn't even running. There was no Facebook. We live in a different world than we did, and we're still sitting back in the, let's just run TV ads, let's just send out some mailers, maybe a couple yard signs, and we keep on losing. And we need to do, if we're going to win, we need to change what we're doing.
So what you're saying is we need new strategies for new times.
Exactly what we're saying.
So let's talk about at least one of those strategies, which is 10x votes.
Absolutely.
So tell me about it.
All right. So when Prop 2 passed in 2022, we realized that there's a huge need to get the permanent absentee. And I'm not an absentee ballot guy, right? But at the same time, if we want to get rid of absentee ballots, the only way to do it is to be better at the game than the left is. Yep. So our only option is to have more absentee ballots coming in. So if you have somebody who's a low propensity voter, now a low propensity voter is somebody that votes less than 50% of the time on the majors, right? Mm-hmm. This is our definition. You could do it. So 16, 18, 20, and 22. If they didn't vote in 2 of them or less, they're a low propensity voter in our mind. And so what we realized is we need those people to have a permanent absentee in their hand. And then it came to, well, how do we find those people? So we have the data in Michigan, and we found we have 1.7 million low propensity conservatives in Michigan. So there's 10 million people roughly in Michigan. That means 17% of our population in Michigan is a low propensity conservative. That is not voting, right?
40 should be.
And should be, and has every right to be. Yeah. And it's your constitutional right. Your right. You need to be out there voting, and they're not. Republicans are lazy. We know that. We rely on the top of the ticket to pull us in. Yeah. So what we did is we took these 1.7 million voters, and we made it public for you. So, Joe, you log on to 10xvotes.com, you sign up, and you got to confirm your email, and then you just start searching Moss, and you start searching your people you go to church with, your coworkers, maybe your street address. Find people around you that you know that you have a one-on-one connection with, and then all we do is come and you claim them. And then we, come election season, we say, hey, Joe, you knew Sam and Sally and Paul and Peter, and go get them to vote. They don't vote. So it's up to you then, Mr. Volunteer, to spend 10 to 15 minutes looking for the people that you know. And within 10 to 15 minutes, you're going to find 10 to 15 people that you know. I promise you.
Yep.
Just go through your church directory and you'll find them really quick. And then come election season, it's send them a text message, send them a call, or give them a call, send them an email, a Facebook message. We can't rely on a door knocker to make sure that they're going to hit their door. And even if the door knocker does end up at their door, it doesn't mean they're going to do anything about it. But if you call your uncle, he's going to answer the phone because he says, "Oh, it's nephew Joe. Hey, what's going on? Hey, Uncle Sam, what do we need to do to get you out to vote?
Right.
Do you need a ride? Are you voting this year? What can I do to help? Do you have any other friends that aren't?" It's that one-on-one personal connection that not only helps us win with the permanent infrastructure in 24, but in 26 and then 28. And we make sure that those 1.7 million turn out every single time, and Michigan will never be blue again.
Well, it sounds amazing. And I think what you're saying here is you're building a tool that can be part of this new permanent infrastructure in Michigan. But it's not just something that gets used once. It's
Correct.
Something that builds upon itself year after year, cycle after cycle, to engage people relationally, to engage them from the bottom up.
Correct. I mean, the biggest thing, like I said, we rely on the top of the ticket. We know for sure that this is the last time Trump is going to be on the ticket. We know that. But at least Donald Trump Sr. or
Right.
The Donald Trump we all think, who knows. But what happens when we have a governor's race, and if we don't have a governor that's going to turn people out, right? But more so, what do we need to do to get those people out to turn on the school boards, right? If we look at a school board race that many times is won by 50 to 150 votes.
Right.
If you go to one church, you get 10, 15 people to 10x their vote, and each one of them times 10 people, that you just flipped a school board race, right? Like the 103rd district, Traverse City, lost by 630 votes. You go to one church, you get 60 people in that congregation to go 10x their votes. We would have flipped it. There was 2,400 hunters just alone in the 103rd, and 12,000 something, low propensity conservatives in the 103rd that didn't vote. We should not have lost that.
Right.
They just didn't vote. So it's that permanent infrastructure, it's that permanent relationship, it's that one-on-one connection. We're not asking for hours of your day. We're not asking you to give up your Saturday. We're asking you to, when you're out, this is July 4th week. This is all summer in Michigan. You're going to be having yard parties and everything else. Find everyone that's coming to your party. Search them. It may not be them, but it could be their parents. It could be their cousins. It could be their friends. Go through the people that you work with, go through your friends, go through your family, people you go to church with, find the people that that don't vote and get them to turn out.
Well, it sounds excellent. And I love the catchphrase, I love the name 10xVotes, and the catchphrase of, vote 10 times.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so simple and so easy to do, but also very high ROI, very impactful to say, if you're going to vote, why don't you bring your friends with you? Now go find them. They're not voting. It could be friends or relatives or whoever, but care about those people who are closest to you and bring them along. And that increased engagement is good for everyone.
Yeah. You're out doing this every day, Joe, as well. I mean, how many times have you heard it's just one vote, it doesn't count? We need to destroy the mentality that it is just one vote and it doesn't count, because it's not. You have the opportunity to vote legally 10 times. Just bring your friends and your family with you. And you know them best, right? If they are going to vote left, or if they're a never Trumper, that they're going to vote Republican for every single other person, but they might even leave the top of the ticket off, right?
They might.
You know that because you're friends with them. And it's your responsibility then to engage them the right way, or don't engage them if you know they're not going to vote the way you want them to vote. Right. But at least we know who they are and we are. But we need to destroy that mentality. It's just one vote and it doesn't matter. You can vote 10 times legally. You have 9 days to do it, plus a permanent absentee and everything else. There's no excuse not to vote anymore.
Right. It is actually now easier to vote if you want to than ever before because of some of these changes. Not to mention that, the 9 days of early voting. And I can say in Ottawa County, I mean, I don't know what the turnout's going to be early. There probably will still be a significant turnout day of. But I think we will see people begin to use early voting here and across the state.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, in some of the runoff elections, we were seeing over 50% absentee votes.
Wow.
And that's just across Michigan. I think we could probably expect that this is going to be the norm. So, and it's real easy for people to just throw their ballot in the trash or just not even send it in. So it's up to us then to make sure that that ballot gets turned back in. And you don't have to mail it in. You can just take it with you to your precinct, turn it in, they'll give you a new ballot, and you can get your actual vote cast.
Yeah. Well, I guess then bottom line is people need to be engaged. They need to go to 10xvotes.com, get signed up, and start searching, especially now as we're heading into the 4th of July and through this primary election season, and then even going into the general. But do the hard work and build from the bottom up.
Absolutely. Yep, that's where it's 10xvotes.com, and you sign up, confirm your email. We'll let you in. There's a little security clearance to make sure that that our data is not going to be abused, and then start searching your friends and family, and you'll have a lot of fun with it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Drew. Thanks for walking us through it, and look forward to seeing the results and seeing how things go, this election cycle and beyond.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks.